All right, so let's get started.
And you're doing this on a Chromebook, right? Otherwise that would be fun.
Yeah, well, I do it with my MacBook. Yeah, I'll tell you later on why. All right, so if you missed it, that's me. I'm a solution architect from the Netherlands. I do big implementation. I focus on the larger enterprise scale implementations, and I do actually not only the thinking, but I also do the exercises myself with a large team of people, of course. And that means that I'm there for many years in one project because of the scale of the project, but also I'm leaving when the last user is migrated. So it's last 3 to 5 years sometimes, because I'm almost always working for governments, so it takes a while for a change. So at the moment, for example, I'm working on finishing a large project. We've got about 95,000 users, and we had, well, about in between the 15 and the 20,000 laptops. And all those laptops were on Windows XP, and we had to migrate them. And that was not going fast enough. So that's why we decided to walk on alternative route. And so this is why I had already experience with my own Chromebook. I had my Chrome Management Console license. I just bought one license and played around with it. So then we decided to give it a shot and to see what we can replace our existing laptops with Chromebooks, so that we can make the migration a lot more faster. So we started out with a pilot of 500 Chromebooks, and what we did is first we made a what we call a decision tree. So not everyone has to use a Chromebook, not everyone can use a Chromebook. We have some advanced users who use local Windows applications, for example. So as you know, a Chromebook was there first only to be a browser on a device. That's it, just Chrome OS. So we decided that there is a big group of users who potentially could use a Chromebook very well. So this is what we did. And when we're talking about the Chromebook, this is a picture I took yesterday from the website of Google. You can buy your Chromebooks over there. And you see great variety on Chromebooks. And look at the pricing. This Lenovo Chromebook, for example, $179. And here you see the more advanced Chromebook from HP. This is only for $499. This is the same.
Has a bigger browser or what?
Sorry?
Does it have a bigger browser?
No, it's just it's this one. This is the Dell, same price. And this has a full HD screen. It is a keyboard with lights underneath it, you know. So because most Chromebooks are very cheap, so they don't have full HD, for example. They all have the same specifications. Some of the specifications are the same because Google writes down the specifications. So if you want to make a Chromebook like Acer, you have to confirm to specific sort of specifications. So there has to be a webcam in it, for example, and some other things, flash drives. They come with different kinds of storage and memory, but actually it doesn't matter because the local storage you don't want to. This Chromebook is not made for downloading documents. Well, you can download documents. There is a download folder. You use your own profile, so you can put stuff in there. But actually, it's a device. It's meant to be used always online. So what we did is we ordered just a few. We did want to have a large screen resolution. And we were interested in 4G. At the time we started our pilot, there was only one vendor, HP, with built-in 4G. And now they stopped producing it. So now there is no Chromebook anymore with 4G support. So what we did is we bought dongles, LTE dongles, 4G dongles, and we call these small Wi-Fi, I always call them, but it's mobile Wi-Fi devices to get your internet connections. And what we then did is we turned it on to a mobile thin client. Of course, that's actually what a lot of people are using their laptops for, just as mobile thin clients. Beside the laptop, there are more devices, all based on the same thing, Chrome OS. That's the operating system. That's the thing you're managing. You're managing your operating system. The form factor doesn't matter. You don't see in the management console, I've got some screenshots later on from the management console from Google, for example, you don't see the difference in there. It's just the same way of managing your device. So the Chromebox is like a desktop PC. You can put it behind a monitor, for example, and this has a variety of processors. It comes from a Celeron, very cheap, to even an i7, Intel i7 processor in there. I don't even know where you need the power for, because especially in this presentation I'm focusing mainly on using it as a thin client, and then the Citrix receiver is actually the only thing to use. The Chrome base, this one is quite new. LG and Acer have some. They're not that expensive actually. In the slide before here you see the Chrome base 429, and that's it. Everything is included in there, like an iMac. And then you got the Chrome bit for just $100. You get a Chrome bit, HDMI stick, you put in your computer, your television screen. There is a Bluetooth connection, of course, but you can also buy some extension cables, a USB cable to have a mouse and a keyboard attached to it. The use case is a little bit more difficult from the Chrome bit for if you use it as a thin client. It works very well actually, but because it has no other connections than just one single micro USB connection, it's a little bit difficult to get it connected to your Ethernet connection, for example, and your keyboard and your mouse.
Bluetooth?
Yes, there is Bluetooth on it. Yes. Okay. But normally they steal the keyboard and the mouse and the mice, so that's why a lot of it depends on the environment. So like this environment, this HDMI stick is very usable to put in public situations, public rooms, in your television screen, for example. But if you want to interact with it, then a wireless keyboard, a little bit tricky. But you can use it as a kiosk.
Is there a remote control to it if you want to use them as a solution?
A remote control. Well, it supports these things, for example. So it's a mouse, keyboard. That's normal. All the normal stuff is supported. So this one will also work. So, for example, look at the pricing. This is the Chromebook. Here there is a cheaper Dell Chromebook, and there is a more expensive one. The more expensive one is with touchscreen. This one is without, and this is just a list price of €499. And it's i3 processor, and it's very fast. There is a benchmark website. There's no utility. There's a website on the internet where you can benchmark your Chromebook, and then the fastest Chromebook there is the Pixel. That's Google's own Chromebook. You can buy it here in Europe via the normal ways. You can import it from the US. And I thought they were stopping the production of this Chromebook Pixel, but this is, if you see a Google employee, they always have the Chromebook Pixel outside the building. If you come inside the Google building, all MacBooks everywhere. I was there in Amsterdam 3 weeks ago, and this was even the connectors and the projectors were by default for those connectors for the MacBooks. This is the management console licensing part. You can compare it with Microsoft Intune, for example. So this is normal commercial license, which will cost you €130. This is just a list price, can change. And that's a price per device. And the device takes the license and its serial number. If you lose your laptop, if you break your laptop, you have to buy a new license. Right. So there are some small exclusions on this. So Google says if you buy the same type of laptop again, then you can reuse the license, but you have to call us. So don't call just for one laptop. So if you have a bunch of laptops that needs to be replaced for whatever reason, you can use the same licenses again, but you have to call with Google and they have to free up the licenses. For education and non-profit, it's only €23, but you can only buy them as a subscription per year.
Is there a subscription of the picture?
No, this is one time. So if you have a Chromebook and it lasts for 5 years, your Chromebook, it's very, very cheap. So there's also one
And
reason.
you can still upgrade and stuff afterwards.
There is no upgrade available for a Chromebook. You can't put in a larger hard disk or whatever. It's
The Google Management Control license, right?
yes.
So the management control, that could be some new software of that.
Oh yeah, it's cloud-based.
Ah,
The management console.
Okay.
You don't install anything on your own premise, so you get all the upgrades for free.
I reveal myself
Yeah.
as one of the D's of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, every now and then I log in again in the Google Management Console, and there are new features available. Some features are in the beta version, other features just pop up. Recently they changed the way you could distribute your certificates, your root certificates, for example. That wasn't possible in the beginning, and now there is a special section for that. Alright, so there is also another license. It's a single app kiosk license. I will talk about it a little bit later on, about what is a single app kiosk. This, especially for thin clients, this license is very interesting. And it's not, this is just a commercial price, so there's no special price for education or non-profit. This is just the price. So if you buy a very, very, very cheap Chromebook, you saw it, $179, you can buy a Chromebook. But there is a chance that it won't last for more than 2 years, so then the license can become a bit expensive. And if you buy the right Chromebook from the start, like with a big screen, for example, we started out with a Chromebook with a small screen, and eventually our users started complaining about a small screen. So just buy a good Chromebook, and your license will be there for a long time with you. So what do you get? Actually, you get mobile device management, mobile application management for this price. It's the Google Enterprise Console, it's in the cloud, it's just admin.google.com. There are more things to manage in there, so they put all the management things in there. You could also manage your mobile phones from there, or your Google G Suite, as it's called today, like it was Google Apps for Work, for example. You can manage this all from within the cloud. You configure your systems, you can lock down your systems, for example. You can disable the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet port, or you can disable everything you like. You even can disable your clipboard, for example. There is a lot of things you can do yourself from here. Another important thing is to control the updates. So a Chromebook gets the updates from the internet. Depending on the size of the update, every 6 weeks, Google says every 6 weeks we have a new update of our Chrome OS operating system. It starts downloading automatically, but if you have a lot of devices, maybe they will start downloading it all at the same time in the morning, for example. So you can change in the management console. You can change. You have a window where you can where the clients can download their updates. An update can be as large as 100 megabytes or 500 megabytes, is somewhere there in between normally. And of course you can do all the normal stuff like mobile device management does, remote lock, remote wipe, reboot. You could also deprovision the Chromebook. For example, if you say it's the company-owned Chromebook, but at the end of the lifetime you can give it away to your end users, for example, and then you can just unsubscribe the Chromebook, then it reboots itself and factory defaults, and everyone can use the Chromebook as if it was a new one. As soon as you are enrolled your device into your enterprise, then of course an end user can't use any combination of keys to format the device to do a factory default. It's not possible anymore. You can lock that down. Only the administrator can. Mobile application management, you can just push the applications. There are a lot of applications in the store, like the Citrix receiver, of course, and you can also put in your private packages like every mobile application management suite can do. You can package your own applications. It's a lot of work, but you can do it. So that's actually included. But as I said, actually this slide for me is quite normal, but if you are in a Windows environment and your laptops, you provision your laptops, your users take their laptops home, you are out of control of your laptop. There are solutions for that, of course, but normally it's domain joined. There are policies, but if you don't come back at the office for about 6 months, for example, then you don't get the updates. That was the situation in our place. The client I'm working with is a very high secure environment, so the laptops weren't allowed to connect to the internet, the Windows laptops. So if you want to get updates, you have to come to the office. You plug in your Ethernet connection and then it starts updating. So after a while, nobody plugged in their Ethernet cable because they know when I plug it in, half a day it takes to do all the Windows updates. And now you can just keep track of your devices. It takes HTTPS connection in a central management console. You can track them down everywhere. You can update them and manage them. So they can, of course, in this use case I talk about the mobile thin client, so they can take the thin client home or anywhere, and they can always be tracked.
Question.
Yes.
Is there any sensitive information in the cloud when you do this, so that you could sort of wish to have a European site or something like that?
No. It depends on what you choose to have available to your users. So what you could do is apply enterprise accounts for your users, and then they log in with on the Chromebook, for example, with a group enterprise account. And then as an administrator you can disable everything, like you disable the email, the applications, the drive, you can disable everything. And you can also configure your Chromebook like this, so as soon as you log out your Chromebook it will be wiped. So no information will be left on the local hard disk, although the hard disk is encrypted.
I mean in the cloud.
No, in the cloud, if you disable Drive, for example, in Gmail, if you just disable it, there is no information in the cloud. The user account is there. You could use, you know how to do it, a SAML connection, right? But you could also use your private Gmail addresses, for example, to log in. But there is only this user information. It's first name, last name, and that's kind of stuff.
You mentioned certificates, but
Yeah.
how do you see that as vulnerable or security?
No, like if you use it internally, the Chromebooks, not from, the normal use case would be from a Netscaler outside, from the outside part. You could use it inside and you can distribute your own root certificate authorities if you want. So if you don't have a public certificate for your internal network, to your internal Netscaler, for example, or without a Netscaler, it works fine.
Then you have to put it in the cloud.
You put the certificate in the cloud to distribute it, yes.
So that's
Yeah.
security.
But you don't put the private key in there. It's just the root
It's actually-
CA. It's just the root CA. You can download always a root CA from every.
But people, that's actually how the code it works.
Yeah.
You know, you have private
Yes.
certificate.
Yes.
It's something which you should not give to
No.
anybody.
No.
And you have a public one, and then you can get everybody, and you are not less secure.
I guess public and cloud go well together.
But you also get a speed.
That's actually the trick.
I already mentioned it there, 17 seconds.
17
For what?
For a boot?
Yeah, well, yeah, for a boot. So I just have a video. Here it goes.
Yeah,
I recorded it yesterday. I press the power
The
button.
MacBook.
This one is configured as to be a kiosk mode. Right. So till that's free, it's 70 seconds to boot the OS. You boot your start up your Citrix receiver and go to the internet connection. So if you have a faster internet connection, it may be even a little bit more faster. Yeah. So what you just saw is my Chromebook, this Chromebook, configured as a real thin client in kiosk mode. So that was the other license. The other license it was 24 euros. And with this license, you can use your Chromebook only for one purpose. And that's a published application, or a kiosk application as Google calls it. So Citrix has this application in the store. You can just distribute this application and you can configure it to be a kiosk application. So as soon as the Chromebook starts, it gets its configuration from the cloud and it sees, oh, I have to be a thin client today. So then the application starts full screen and the configuration of the application is also in the management console. I've got a slide of that, how to configure it. So this is the most cheap way to distribute those Chromebooks or Chromeboxes of Chromebits, just to be a thin client. And it boots very fast, as you can see. So that was the last one. It was the kiosk mode where we saw in the video. Full screen, single app.
Are there limits to what you can do with the CPAP? Is it
Yes.
full functional? And
No, I got a screen, I got a slide for that. Then the normal use, if you buy it in your shop and you just log in with your Gmail or Google account, you don't have to have an enterprise account, of course, to work with a Chromebook. Then you have your private session. You just log in with your Google account, and what we can do if you have a Google Enterprise account, we've got user policies and we can lock down the whole interface. But actually what we did in our project, we did not lock down it, because we want the user to have a good end user experience. So a lot of users do have an enterprise account from our organization, and they can use the laptop to just browse locally, for example. Because one of the problems we are having is that our internet connection on the Citrix side is so secure that it blocks all Flash, of course, but also HTML5, video, audio, it's all blocked. So if you want to see YouTube or Facebook or whatever, the internet connection is limited. But on your local device with just your 4G connection, it's not limited. So that also gives us an extra opportunity. That's also why a lot of users love the Chromebook in our organization. And we did limit a few applications they were not allowed to install, but a lot of other applications they are allowed to install.
Can they install a mail and have the private mail on it?
And not if you have configured it as an enterprise. You still can go to gmail.com and log in with your private. Obviously, yes. There was also another thing that's called a public session. That session is actually, you don't have to log in for that. You can configure it. You can enable or disable this option. We have disabled this option in our deployment, but if you can enable it, and then it's more like a public room where you offer internet to your customers, for example, and they don't have to log in. They have the limitations of they can browse, but they can't install applications, and after they log off, everything is wiped again. So that's the public session part. We don't use the public session in our enrollment. What we do use is the hybrid mode. That's very interesting, because here you gotta sign in with your company credentials. So this can be Active Directory integrated, right? You can have a SAML connection or an Active Directory sync with Google Enterprise. In our case, not all the users, we've got 95,000 users, not all of them have a Google Enterprise account. Some of them do. Some of them can log in. Other ones, you just press this button here. There is an apps button, and then you see Citrix Receiver. When you start it, Citrix Receiver pops up full screen, and you can use the Citrix Receiver without logging into the laptop. So this makes it very usable for us, where we share Chromebooks with the whole team. We just have a staple of 10 Chromebooks, and you just grab a Chromebook and you start working. After this is just the normal Netscaler login page which is presented.
If you wanted it to start default, the receiver screen, because
Yes.
maybe some users got confused about the little button at the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that be possible?
Yeah. You can, I've got some screenshots where how to configure this later on. So how do you enroll it? Just 2 steps. It has to be a fresh Chromebook. As a Chrome, they call it the power wash. So, or you buy it in your shop and you open the package and then it's fresh, or you press a special control combination and then it gets a power wash and then it's factory defaults. But then at the first login screen, you press this key combination Control Alt E, and from Enterprise, that's the E4, and then the screen changes and this comes in here, Enterprise enrollment, and you just roll in with, you just enter your account. So you can give the permission to every user in your organization to enroll new devices, or you can just give it to the first line administrator, for example. But if you do this, if you give away the permission to everyone in your organization, then you can ship the Chromebook directly to the end user. And if you don't, you first have to come to the IT department to enroll the device. And enrolling is only this, and then you can give it away. So it's up to you. This takes 1 minute. After entering a username and password, and that's okay, your device has successfully been enrolled for enterprise management. After this, it's company owned, unless the administrator unlocks it to give it away. Otherwise, you're not able to log in with another account than your enterprise account. So if you look at the device management part, this is like the tree. It's by organization. That's how Google does it. So you build your organization in here. I've got a section for users and for devices. I got here, for example, at the devices. This is the configuration where the thin client is configured, just like you saw in the video. This is the kiosk version. This is the open version. This is the digital signage version. Digital signage is something Google is working on very hard. It's just your display 24/7 information on this display. And this is also interesting because the beta versions, you can block the upgrade of new operating systems because you first want to test it, for example. And there are beta versions you can test as an administrator, for example, if the new features are working. And as soon as they work, you can open up the newest version for enrollment. Here you got the user configuration, but if you don't log in with the user, of course, user configuration is not applied. It's only for users who are visible in the enterprise console. Could be your Active Directory users with XAML, or it could be just the enterprise Google Enterprise users. So in this management console, this is how it looks like. And here you've got your device management sign. So there is a lot of more things you can configure in here, but here is your device management. And in your device management, you can use user settings, Google Play Store settings. That's new. I have a slide on this later on. Your public sessions, where we saw the public session, and device, as we know it as our computer policies. Devices itself is just an overview of all the devices you are managing, and mobile application management is just in here. And if you have enrolled a device, this is a screenshot from my Chromebook, and then you see that this is the information you can get. Anytime when the Chromebook is online, you can get here your real-time information. I don't know why the temperature is important, but it's in there. The Wi-Fi signal is because if someone is calling the help desk, they're having a poor connection, you can troubleshoot it like this. And you see, of course, also important, the Citrix receiver version which is installed and used on the Chromebook.
The temperature would be important if it was a Samsung tablet, right?
The application management, here you see a few applications. The Citrix receiver, for example. I don't know if you can see this well, but here's the installed public session kiosk pinned. That's are all properties I gave to this application. So in your application management, you import an application, you just pick an application from the web store, but not all applications are suitable for kiosk mode or for configuration. But the Citrix receiver is. This one, for example, Keep Awake, is just a small tool that helps following the screen into screensaver. It just keeps running. So it's just a nice tool which we also deploy to our end users because they're complaining that they're leaving their laptops in the screens going in sleep mode. Citrix receiver consists of 3 parts: user settings, public sessions, and the kiosk sessions. And actually what you can do within these sessions is allow installation, but I do a forced installation actually. So this application just gets pushed to the user, to the Chromebook. Put it in the taskbar, like you have for Windows, the quick launch to say. And here, the next last thing also is the configure, and it looks like this. So this is the file you import in the management console, and now it knows when it's internal, when it's external, and to make this difference and where to connect. So this is just an example. Citrix has made a website where you can fill in the information and the output will be this file. Or you can text edit it yourself. Once it is created, you see it's very easy to create it yourself. But, that's it. That's the only configuration which in there. So you can't configure multiple stores at this time, for example, just this one configuration to one Netscaler deployment. I say Netscaler, but that's not actually it's not true. You can just go without the Netscaler. It will also work with your internal network. All right, so the difference is this full functional? No, it's not. But they're working hard on it. When I started my presentation, to think about my presentation, I had a list, and there was less features were supported. So in the meantime, Citrix has released a new version, new features are coming out there very fast. They're working quite hard on it. So the most important thing here is the difference between those two, because you still have your HTML5 receiver. This has limited functionality compared to the Chrome OS version, which has limited functionality compared to the Windows version. Windows is full featured, Mac is a little bit less featured, and so they're working hard on it. One of the most important things here is the client hardware acceleration, because this acceleration is there only for Chrome and Windows, not even for the Mac. So this is why the system on a chip of Citrix focused on Linux deployments, and actually a Chromebook is Chrome OS is Linux based. So what they do is client hardware acceleration. They put it in 2 releases ago, and this is it's very you can see the results, very good. So you can just play full screen HD videos, and all the content is offloaded. So it's not HDX client-side rendering. It's not. It's just hardware acceleration. GPU is used to draw everything on your screen.
So no flash redirection?
No flash redirection. No. All right. Latest improvements. The client hardware acceleration, as I said. Session reliability is in there now. Secure ICA. I had a slide on how to implement this because it was a little bit difficult if you have Secure ICA, but I had to change it 1 month ago because it was a new release and Secure ICA was supported, so this makes it even more easy to implement. Also new smart card support. Works very well, and basic USB support is there. I have to say it's really basic. Yeah. Session reliability. Here I put on some differences. The receiver for Chrome is different according to the normal receiver, HTML5 receiver, because a lot of stuff for the HTML5 receiver is put in storefront. What they did is they put those functionality, this source code, they put into the Chromebook receiver for Chromebook. So you don't need all the functionality at the backside. Officially, it's not supported, but you can use the Chromebook with a web interface site. It works. Yeah. We use it actually on a daily basis. Officially, it's not supported. They say storefront is the minimum you have to, because in storefront is the HTML5 code, but the code is also in the client itself. So if you have an HTML5 receiver and want to use session reliability, you have to have a minimum of 10 up to desktop 7.6 feature pack 2 or a Netscaler. And if you have a Netscaler, you connect through a Netscaler, then all the versions are also supported. And Citrix for Chromebook, it's more rich, so it's minimum of 10 up to 6.5. Smart card support, very easy. You just have to install 2 applications. It's the smart card connector, it's the upper one from Google itself, and then you got the middleware, and there are only 2 middleware versions. There is only one middleware for the US government cards they use, smart cards. But that's all you have to do, and you can of course push those applications. And then you just plug in your NFC reader and your card, and it just works like you used to work in a normal Windows PC.
Are there any Chromebooks that have a built-in?
No. You still have to buy your HP keyboard with built-in. Or printing. Of course you can, as soon as you're in your network session, your Citrix session, you can print as normally. But if you have a local connected printer, then it gets a little bit tricky. You can, of course, install Google Cloud Printer within your Citrix session. You can print to your cloud printer. Citrix had made a PDF printer available. You install this on your Citrix server, and then you can print to a file. And actually, it does print to it. It's called Citrix PDF printer. When you print to it, it will download actually the result in a PDF on your local Chromebook in your downloads folder, and there it's sitting. And then you can decide to print it on your local Chromebook, or you can use it to directly print to a Google Cloud printer, but actually it's the same. it generates PDF, it downloads locally, except then that the PDF downloaded locally is automatically opened in a local print application and printed out without any warnings. Are you sure? It just prints out to the locally configured printer. And you can configure, pre-configure cloud printers within the management console if you want. Some limitations. No real multimedia support, multi-monitor support. Here you see a beta feature, unified desktop. It stretches. All right, so Citrix doesn't see there are 2 monitors in there. So it's not, the Chromebook itself supports multiple monitors, but the Citrix session only fits to 1 screen. You can also use published applications. We use full desktops, but you can use published applications. And as soon as you move one application to another screen, all the applications move to that screen. So that's not very usable. Unified desktop is a little bit better, but it doesn't recognize their more monitors.
But the hardware platform supports multi-monitors, yes?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I tested it with this one,
Yeah.
and the problem is it doesn't notice both screens. It just
No.
sees it as one screen. So you
A very large resolution.
maximize the application. It goes over
Yeah.
both screens.
But that sounds more
Like in the old days.
yeah, that sounds more like a software problem that's just not called.
Yeah, it will be fixed in any release soon.
It should be in the roadmap, right?
Well, what I said, local printing possibilities are limited. In our case, in our secure environment, it's not allowed to use Google Cloud printers. So we can't use Chromebooks to print locally. If you have to print locally at the customer site, for example, yeah, then you have to have a Windows PC still.
Well, that's
USB.
crazy because it's Linux. It should be pretty easy to implement a local print.
Yeah, you can break your Chromebook. You can, and then you can install cups, and then you can install local printers. Yeah, okay, that's not really supported. The last thing about here is you can't prevent public apps to be updated. So we had an update of the Citrix receiver, and it broke the whole Citrix connection. So that's a problem. So Citrix, the Chromebook, Chrome OS built in smart card support, and after the smart card support, the Citrix client broke. So Citrix had to take another 5 days to get an update. In those 5 days, we weren't able to help our customers. So that was a really big problem. This is one thing they have to prevent. So we could prevent installing the new OS. We could limit it to version 52 and not even not higher. But you only see after you upgrade your OS and tested everything. So testing is very important, but you can't stop the applications from being updated. Only the OS. And no built-in 4G support. We talked about this later. 1 minute left. Android apps are supported now, just on 3 devices. This is one of the devices, the Chromebook Flip, touchscreen enabled. You just see the Google Play Store, you can install Angry Birds if you want. So, that means 2.2 million applications are suddenly available for Chromebooks. It's potentially very interesting. At this time, you can install all the applications, but the screen size is not that nice. You know, the vendors have to update their applications, so it works well on a Chromebook. It works, but it's like playing installing an iPhone application on an iPad. But in the future, for example, you can install the Citrix Secure Hub, and you can use the micro VPN solutions to deliver your intranet websites directly on your Chromebook without the Citrix session. So that can be very interesting for future use. Other use cases, for example, this one is funny. This is the self-service McDonald's. I don't know if you have it in your country. In our country, they're enrolling it now, and there are Google Chromeboxes behind, for example. Same as different airports have also Chrome devices. We're talking about all the same devices, the same operating system. Only the thing what changes is the form factor. So there are ruggedized Chrome boxes, for example, that can be used. And we use it also for digital signage, like a 24-hour presentation for the employees. Just use the sticks for this. That's it.